$139.87 a month, tax-free, sits on top of a 100% rating. And most veterans who qualify never claim a dollar of it. That is special monthly compensation. And for the right veteran, it is money the VA already owes. But here is the part nobody warned you about. The exact phone call you make to claim that money can quietly reopen your entire file, and a single good day exam can put the rating you built over a decade on the chopping block.
Erica here, and that tension is the whole episode. Special monthly compensation is genuine money many 100% veterans leave on the table. The VA does not call you to offer it. You have to ask.
Today we go deeper than the general reduction warning. We are looking at the 100% crowd, specifically what SMC actually pays, and the exact rules that make an established rating hard, though not impossible, to cut.
Liam jumping in because my read is that most people hear SMC and picture a bigger percentage. It is not a percentage at all, is it? It is a separate add-on for a specific loss.
Right, and that distinction is where the money hides. I am Maya, and this is the kind of thing that makes me genuinely angry. Families that earned this never hear the words. The smallest tier, SMC-K, pays $139 and change every single month, and it stacks at any rating.
And the catch that makes this episode necessary: asking for more can expose the scheduler ratings underneath to a proposed cut. So the protections that shield an established 100% rating are not a footnote today. They are the whole strategy.
Before I lay out the ladder, a question came up under nearly every video we have ever made on this, and it frames everything that follows. Maya, you have been sitting with this one, so put it to the room.
I have. The question is this: I'm already at 100%, so is it even worth the risk to ask the VA for more money? That fear is exactly why people leave it unclaimed, and it deserves a real answer.
Special monthly compensation is not one number. It is a ladder of statutory levels labeled K through T, and each rung pays for a specific named loss rather than for how sick you are on paper.
So the levels are not random letters. My guess is they climb with severity. The further up the ladder, the more profound the loss, the higher the monthly check.
Exactly the right model. Let me put the real dollar figures on the board so you can see the spread, because the gap between the bottom rung and the top rung is enormous. Start at the bottom. SMC-K pays a flat $139.87 a month, and it sits on top of your basic rate at any rating at all.
Then look at the housebound rung. SMC-S pays $4,408.53 a month for a veteran alone. That is not a rounding error on top of 100%. That is a different life.
From SMCL upward, you are into aid and attendance and loss of use territory. SMCL alone runs $4,900 a month, and the highest rungs, R2 and T, reach past $11,000 a month for the most catastrophic losses.
And here is the piece that reframes the whole thing. Every rung is tied to a specific loss, not a diagnosis. The VA is not grading your condition. It is recognizing a concrete thing you can no longer do.
That is the cleanest way to hold it. And Liam, you have had a hand up since the dollar figures landed, so go ahead and ask the room the thing the chart raises.
I do. If SMC-K stacks at any rating, then does a veteran already at 100% get the full add-on on top, or does the 100% somehow absorb it?
It is added on top, in full. SMC-K does not get swallowed by the 100%. That is precisely why it is money so many established veterans are simply leaving uncollected.
Let me pause for just a second, because this genuinely helps. If you are getting value here, hit that like button, then subscribe and ring the bell. It costs you nothing, and it is the single biggest thing that keeps these videos coming.
Of every SMC claim you could file, K is the gentlest, and I want people to actually feel that because the fear is what keeps them quiet.
Walk through why it is gentle. A K claim asks the VA to recognize one specific anatomical loss, like loss of use of a hand, a foot, or an eye. The legal standard for loss of use is precise. Loss of use means no effective function remains other than what would be equally well served by an amputation stump. It is a concrete finding, not a judgment call about how your day is going.
And you are not limited to one. If I am reading this right, a veteran can hold up to 3K awards at the same time, each one stacking on the basic rate.
Let me run the real numbers for one veteran because the math is where this stops being abstract. Picture Marcus, an Army retiree at 100% with documented loss of use of one hand from a service-connected injury he never thought to claim separately. Start with his existing 100% basic rate. Then we add the one SMC-K award for the hand, a flat $139.87.
And critically, that K award did not re-rate his underlying conditions. It added a recognized loss. So the new monthly figure climbs to roughly $4,340.87, all from a single targeted claim.
So the real number lands at $4,340.87 a month. $140 he was owed every month going back, and he only had to ask for the one thing.
Hold on to that word, targeted, because it is the entire safety play. A specific claim for a specific loss is a very different animal from the move we are about to look at, which is where veterans get hurt.
If SMC-K is the gentle one, SMC-S is the one everyone misreads, and I include my past self in that. The word housebound makes people assume it is only about being stuck at home.
It has two separate doors, and that is the source of the confusion. Door 2 is the literal one, being permanently housebound, substantially confined to your home and immediate premises by service-connected disabilities. Door 1 has nothing to do with being homebound at all. It opens when you have one single disability rated 100%, plus a separate disability or disabilities independently rateable at 60% or more.
And right there is where I see the most claims die, on that one word, single. Maya, you've watched this catch people. Set up the trap exactly the way a veteran walks into it.
Gladly, because it is heartbreaking. You see your award letter says 100%, you see a 60 in there too, and you do the obvious math and assume you qualify. For a lot of veterans, you do not.
Let me set the misconception against the rule directly, because this is the single most misstated SMC rule online, and getting it wrong wastes a claim. So a veteran whose 100% is built from a 50, and a 30 stacked together has a combined 100. That does not open door 1. It must be one single condition rated 100% on its own.
But there is a path back in, isn't there? My read is that TDIU can stand in for that single 100% under certain conditions.
It can, when the TDIU is based on a single disability. That is the Bradley and Bowie line of cases. So a veteran rated unemployable on one condition plus a separate 60 can reach SMC-S and lift to $4,408 a month.
Which is why you do not guess on this one. You map your own ratings first, single versus combined, before you ever file. Guessing wrong here does not just fail. It can drag your stable file into a review you did not need.
Here is the mechanism that turns a good idea into a scare, and I want to trace it slowly. Filing for an increase for TDIU or for SMC reopens the VA's review of the underlying condition. It is not a quiet, isolated request.
Right, and when that review opens, the VA pulls your entire claims file and can schedule a fresh C&P exam. The examiner is looking at you on one particular day under one particular set of questions.
And this is the part that makes me protective of people. If that exam catches a good day, the VA can issue a proposed reduction of the scheduler rating underneath the thing you actually came to claim. Picture Marcus again, the same retiree, combined 100% with a 70% PTSD rating he has carried for 12 years. Instead of a targeted K claim, a forum tells him to file a blanket request to review his whole file for anything he is owed.
So the VA reopens, schedules the C&P, and the examiner happens to see Marcus on a rare, steady morning. The decision that comes back is a proposed reduction of his PTSD from 70% down to 50%.
That is the exact nightmare people are afraid of. But hold on, because the way you have framed it, the protections are supposed to catch this. A single snapshot is not supposed to be enough, is it?
It is not, and that is the whole reason a blanket review is the wrong move rather than a fatal one. The proposal is bounded. Marcus had carried that 70% for over 5 years, and the law has a specific answer for that.
The lesson is not that you can never ask for more. The lesson is that a blanket review hands the VA the opening, while a specific claim for a specific loss almost never does. Same veteran, two very different risk profiles.
So we have a real fork, and it is worth arguing out loud because honest people land on different sides of it. On one side, claim the money the VA owes you. On the other, do not poke a stable 100%. Erica thinks the owed money should be pursued, while Maya is worried about the file you already have. Let's get both cases on the record, and I will referee from the middle.
My case is simple. SMC is not a gamble, it is a benefit. For a veteran with a documented specific loss, a targeted K or S claim is recognizing something that already happened to their body. Leaving $4,000 a month of housebound benefit unclaimed out of fear is its own kind of loss.
And I hear that, but I keep pulling it back to the family at the kitchen table. The veteran whose 100% is built from 3 stacked conditions, none of them protected yet, is the one who gets hurt. For them, the marginal SMC gain can be small and the downside is their whole award.
Hold there, Maya. Erica, answer the specific worry. The veteran whose ratings are young and unprotected, is your advice the same for them as for someone 20 years in?
No, and that is the honest concession. If your ratings are young and fragile and the SMC gain is marginal, the timing can be wrong for you. My argument is not file blindly. It is that a specific claim for a real loss almost never triggers the cut Maya fears, and the protections cover the rest.
Then we are closer than it sounded. My fight was never against the benefit. It is against the blanket review and against guessing on the single versus combined rule. Do those two things and most of my fear evaporates.
Before either of you wraps, push on one more thing. What about the veteran who genuinely needs the housebound benefit? The one whose spouse is now a full-time caregiver. Does the caution change for them?
For that veteran, the calculus flips hard toward filing. $4,400 a month is the difference between a caregiver who can stay home and one who cannot. You still file narrowly and with a rep, but you absolutely file.
Agreed, no argument. When the need is real and the loss is documented, the worst outcome is silence. I will take a careful claim over an unclaimed benefit every time.
Then here is where the record lands. Pursue the SMC you genuinely qualify for. Because under the governing rule, it is often money you are owed, not a gamble. But file narrowly, a specific claim for a specific loss, with an accredited rep who knows which protections apply to you. A blanket review everything is the one move both of my co-hosts just argued flat against. That is the verdict the sources support.
Now the part that turns fear into a plan, and this is the part I actually love. The longer you have held a rating, the harder the law makes it to cut, and the protections come on like a series of gates as the years pass.
Let me lay them out on a timeline, because each one switches on at a different point and they stack. I will walk them in order, from the 5-year mark up to the 20-year floor. At 5 years comes the stabilized rating rule. A rating held continuously at one level cannot be cut on a single exam. The VA must review the whole record and prove sustained improvement reasonably certain to be maintained under the ordinary conditions of life. One good day is legally not enough.
At 10 years, the severance rule kicks in. And here is the part I make people repeat back. It protects your service connection from being taken away except for fraud. But read the limit out loud. It protects the connection, not the percentage.
So past 10 years, they still cannot take the condition away entirely, but they could in theory still lower the rating level on it. That is a much narrower shield than people think.
Correct, which is why the 20-year rule is the strongest of the four. A rating in effect for 20 years cannot drop below its lowest continuous level except for fraud. That is a hard floor under your check.
And the most practical shield of all sits a little outside the clock. A 100% permanent and total rating is exempt from routine future exams. The VA simply does not pull you in for periodic reviews.
With one honest asterisk. P&T stops the VA from re-examining you on its own schedule. It does not stop the new exam that your own new claim invites. The protection guards the door you did not open, not the one you do.
Which loops us right back to the strategy. If you are 20 years in and protected, an unrelated K claim is genuinely low risk because the old rating cannot fall below its floor no matter what a new exam says.
So let's turn all of this into a plan you can actually run. The smart play is not don't ask. It is ask precisely. Pursue the SMC you genuinely qualify for, and file it narrow.
Narrow means you name the specific loss and the specific level, not review my file. Instead, SMC-K for loss of use of my left hand, or SMC-S, here is my single 100% condition, and here is my separate 60.
And you do not do it alone. File with an accredited VSO, attorney, or claims agent who can map your single versus combined ratings and tell you which protections you already hold before a single form goes in.
Before any of that, where does a veteran even confirm these numbers for themselves? I do not want anyone taking our figures on faith.
Straight from the source. On va.gov, the special monthly compensation rates page lists every level, and the box you want is labeled SMC-K and SMC-Q rates. Open that, and you will see the $139.87 figure with its December 1st effective date, confirmed by the agency itself.
And if the worst happens and a reduction does get proposed, the viewer is not helpless, right? My read is that there is an actual procedure the VA has to follow before a dollar changes.
There is a due process wall, and it is on the calendar. The VA regulations require written notice with detailed reasons, and then a 60-day window to submit evidence before anything takes effect. Inside that window, you can request a predetermination hearing within 30 days, and if you ask in time, your payments continue at the current level until a final decision. That 60-day window is your chance to fight back, not a countdown to a cut.
So the blanket review everything request is the one move to retire forever. It is the only play in this whole episode that both Erica and I argued flat against, and the protections work best when you never hand the VA the opening.
If you remember one thing today, remember this. The money is real and often owed. The risk is real but bounded, and a specific claim with a rep is how you collect the one without triggering the other. Precision is the whole protection. Let's bring it home. Special monthly compensation is real money sitting above the 100% rate. The reopening risk is real but bounded by the 5, 10, and 20-year rules, and a narrow, specific claim with an accredited rep is how you collect it safely.
And here is the one we could not settle for you today, because only you can. Is your 100% rating from one single condition or a stack of several? That single fact decides whether door 1 of SMC-S is even open to you, so tell us in the comments.
Next time we are pulling apart aid and attendance and the higher SMC tiers, the L through R levels, where a single award can be worth more than $5,000 a month, and the documentation that actually unlocks them.
If this helped you see the trap before it caught you, hit like and subscribe so we can keep building this VA benefit series for you, one specific, hard-won rule at a time.
The takeaways above are the ones I would write down.
Position first, tactics second, excuses never.
That was the real deal, Grace. 9 out of 10, and the only reason I did not cry is I am on camera. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.